there, and welcome to the Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. I'm your host, Vidas Pinkevičius. Hello guys, this is Vidas, and we're starting Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. And today's guest is Alina Rotaru, harpsichordist and organizer of Lauxmin International Harpsichord Competition in Vilnius. And the second edition of this competition has been just finished, and I decided to ask Alina a few questions about this wonderful initiative. As far as I know, this is the only harpsichord contest in the Baltic states. So welcome, Alina, and I'm very much looking forward to talking to you.
Thank you, Vidas. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, so I know you are a fabulous harpsichord player and a connoisseur of early music, and together with Darius Stabinskas, you organize and manage this wonderful early music festival Banchetto Musicale here in Vilnius, which already is running for what, 30 years or more?
32 years.
For 32 years. It's amazing. So yeah, those initiatives are very interesting and important for our region. So for the start of this conversation, I always ask my guests how they first became interested in their instrument. So that might be the organ for organist, but for you, maybe harpsichord. How did you fall in love with the harpsichord, Alina?
Oh yes, that is actually a question I've been asked many times. I was born in Bucharest. I grew up there. I went to this special music school that you guys have here too, and it's quite common in Eastern Europe. And of course, my instrument was piano. Later, I started studying at the music academy in Bucharest. I was always very much interested in playing Bach and Scarlatti, because these were the only composers of the Baroque that we were playing on the piano. In that times, I was very interested in the repertoire, and actually that was the path. I wanted to play this music on the instrument that they were intended for, and actually that's how it started. So the moment I started studying at the music academy, there was a harpsichord in there somewhere in one of the rooms, and it was one of these DDR Spähhake, Sassmann, you know, these dinosaurs, these instruments,
yes,
which are now not being made anymore. I think they stopped making them in the 80s, but it didn't matter. I just went there and I started playing them. Then I was lucky enough that we were quite a few years out of the dictatorship, which means we could go out of the country, and other people could come in. They started organizing the famous Bach Academy in another city of Romania, in Klausenburg, in Cluj. There were professors from Germany coming to Cluj every year for some important master class, and I went there. And that's how it was actually very quick that I decided that is what I want to do.
Wonderful. So early music love, right? Started with this instrument. Although you started with the piano, of course, piano helped your background, and lots of pianists start playing piano if they have good teachers with early music as well. So you had that kind of thing as well, and that got you interested into harpsichord sounds as well, correct?
Yes, and I actually very much liked the fact that the harpsichord is so different than the piano. It's nothing against the piano. I think piano is a great instrument, but I liked very much how subtle this instrument is, and that it's not, you cannot manipulate it in any way, really. I mean, you can't, everybody says, yes, you cannot do dynamics on the harpsichord. This is really not true, but you have to find different ways, and you're not going to, you cannot use too many tools for the piano. You actually cannot really. So you have to find different ways, and you have to, yeah, I liked the idea that you have to search for this, and I still like this. Even
Yeah,
now.
I like the idea that you found this old, but not very old. It's not historical, but modern harpsichord, right? Post World War II harpsichord.
Yes. Well,
And you
there was
started
nothing
playing it.
else.
Yeah.
Yes, there was nothing else, and also I also started to tune it. I had no idea. I mean, I knew that there were different tuning systems by then, but I didn't have a I didn't have a tuning machine. I didn't even have the structure in my head of the, let's say, of the Werkmeister or of other tuning systems. But I have a good, I hear very well.
Yes.
And I was just yeah, I was just tuning it, and then of course I learned how to tune properly with, you know, how what fifths are pure, what fifths are not pure, and it was really not a problem. I like that you have to also take care of the instrument, that you don't have someone to do that for you. You have to do it yourself.
Yeah, it's small enough that you really have to know the inside out
Yeah.
things. So, Alina, can we divide your life so far into three segments, like Romania, Germany, and Lithuania? Is that accurate to say?
It's absolutely accurate. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, how did you move to Bremen, right? And in Germany, basically.
I went to Germany to study.
Yeah.
I didn't go to Bremen first. I went to West Germany to Duisburg, which
Okay.
has a music academy. Actually, it's a part of the music academy in Essen. That's where I started to study harpsichord. And only after some years, I moved to Bremen in the same time. So while I was still in Duisburg, I started studying in Amsterdam as well. It was a parallel study. Back then, it was possible to do that. Nowadays, it's not. And yes, then I went to Bremen and I stayed there for quite some time.
Right. So,
I continued my
what was
studies
your
and everything.
what was your experience in Germany in comparison to Romania?
Oh, about you talking about what
Harpsichord
exactly?
studies,
What harpsichord?
studies. Yeah, and of
Oh,
course the life from post-Soviet country going to the West. It's a completely different perspective, right?
totally. Well, I have to say, Romania was never a Soviet country, but it was. I mean, it was a dictatorship. I think it was maybe to some extent even worse.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Romania was occupied by the Russians for very little time.
Little, okay.
Very just in the mid-40s, and well, right after, well, when the war started, because they came and they left after 2 or 3 years, and but yeah, Romania became a dictatorship with no freedom at all, absolutely no freedom at all. So yes, it was. Of course, I was already I was 13, almost 14 when the revolution happened. But I remember, of course, everything, and of course the period of transition from from dictatorship to freedom. It was very long, and it's not over, and everything changed. There were very dark times. I think for me the darkest times were actually the years right after
Right.
89. That was very hard. How the society was really practically freaking out and not understanding what to do with the freedom, not respecting someone else's point of view and everything. But yes, I went to Germany in 99. So that was 10 years after the dictatorship fell, but it was still so so much more to improve in the country and in the society and everything. So yes, it was of course a culture shock for me to go to Germany, but it was great that I studied, because to study abroad is probably the best way to really learn things about the new country, to be able to integrate well. It's the best environment I can think of, the university environment, to be together with other students from different countries. That was very beautiful. That I love that. In Duisburg, we were suddenly, I had colleagues from everywhere, from a lot of countries, and everybody was speaking German badly, and it was fine. It was fine, and we grew together. We helped each other a lot, and that was really wonderful. But of course, it took a long time for me to learn many things, and also how the working morale is, how to learn a lot of things about fair play, about collegiality. I'm very thankful for this. Really.
Yes. So basically, you discovered a beautiful community, right? Among those students, probably professors, and
yes,
you probably discovered many early music instruments as well.
Of course. I went to all kinds of instrument exhibitions I could go to. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Of course, Romania has its own heritage with beautiful instruments, maybe not so much discovered by the West by that time, but of course, when you go to Germany, to West Germany, western part of Germany, you get uninterrupted, basically, traditions, right, of performance by dictatorships, right? So you could grow into that community seamlessly and take what's the best of it.
Yes, and it was good that the possibility was there, to learn everything you wanted. Practically nobody would stand in your way. If you wanted to learn something, you could just learn.
Wonderful. Did you happen to play some organs in Germany as well?
Yes, I did, but just because I was in love with the instrument very much, I never studied organ.
Yeah.
I did take some private lessons. At some point, indeed, I wanted to study organ as well. But then I realized if I am going to study organ, then I really have to involve myself with it. What about my harpsichord? What's going to happen with it? I didn't think that I could do both well. But I still play organ. I still even have corsets sometimes. I am very humble about playing an organ concert. I know that I am not an organist. Of course, I'm doing my best. I'm thankful if I'm given this opportunity. But yes, my main instrument is harpsichord.
Well, yeah. It's sometimes organists also play harpsichord, and that's not necessarily the right approach, not necessarily the best idea, right? Because you have to have a different technique on the harpsichord than the organ, correct?
Yes, but some people can adjust that, and
Yes.
I admire those who can. I think that maybe I could also, if I would know more about it, and if I would have an instrument to practice on, which of course is not the case now. So I know people who can adjust and who play both instruments very well. But I think that it's actually, when you think about our colleagues who play the lute instruments, so also usually they do choose one instrument of the lute family that they play a lot. Like, for example, there are colleagues who prefer to play theorbo, and they almost never touch Renaissance lute, and the other way around. Of course, they can play, but they already have a preference, and I think it's with us keyboard players pretty much the same.
It's also the same with cellists and gamba players, correct?
Well, I think it's a bit less that, because these instruments are very different, and I met more people who play viola da gamba and violone, which is the double bass of the viola da gamba family. More people than people who play cello and viola da gamba I think there are not that many. Of course, there are some, and Darius is one of them, and he's amazing. But they're not that related, these instruments.
But that's what I meant. They have to choose at some point, viola da gamba or cello, right?
If they play both of them, I think that more often they if they, I don't know if they choose, but they prefer surely one or the other. Of course, it's normal to have preferences.
Great. I always envy people who have, those portable instruments, like from wind family, from string family, and they have not only one but entire family groups of the same family together, right? Like you say, theorbo or lute, or various kinds of lutes, or harp. Yes, some various kinds of harps. String instruments like bowed instruments like viola, da gamba. Some people play violone, right? Like you say, but it's really fun to carry them around and to have a few of them. Or guitars, right? Various modes of guitars, or families of flutes, block flutes, right? Soprano, alto, tenor, bass, entire choir of wooden flutes. That's fun.
Yeah, well, I think it's fun to have your own instrument and to not have to risk every time you play a concert, of course. But sometimes these instruments get stolen. That's not that much fun.
Oh yeah. But when one instrument is stolen, you maybe have 3 more in your disposal.
Yeah,
So, okay.
Probably, but hopefully.
So great. So Germany, with beautiful connections among students, faculty, and discovery of wonderful instruments, historical and newly made copies probably led you to new career paths, right? And then you somehow ended up in Vilnius. So how did that happen?
How did that happen? Well, because of love, of course.
Love, okay.
Yes, there was no other choice. So if you meet the person and that's the one, then you have to be with that person.
Excellent.
There is not even nothing to even think about. It's as it is. He happened to be from Vilnius, so Darius is from Vilnius. I had to be here.
Let me just say, Osha and I know Darius a little bit longer than you. So, but now that we know both of you, is evident that you both are a great match as a couple and a team, working together. So it's really great that you met.
It is great that we met
each other.
Yes, absolutely. It is great that we met.
Yeah. So wonderful. So obviously, before you came into the picture, this Banchetto Musicale festival focused on general early music scene, right? And but then you brought along your keyboard experience, right? Not only, I would say, harpsichord, but in general keyboard perspective. And am I right saying that this harpsichord contest, Lauxmin contest, is your initiative in essence?
Well, yes and no, actually. I, of course, as a keyboard player, I want to see historical keyboard instruments being more in the spotlight as solo instruments. Of course, I want that.
Yes.
And I don't know. I think that I don't think it was such a revolution for Banchetto Musicale, but of course I wouldn't know. The thing is that the idea of the Lauxmin contest was actually of Darius. He is doing a lot of research, and when we started talking about it, it was he who said, "Okay, this is actually great. Let's remember Sigismundus Lauxmin. He was very important, and let's just try. Let's just try to do that."
In our student years, we remember Lauxmin as the author of the first basically music theory book in Lithuanian region, right? It wasn't national Lithuanian language at all. It was Latin, right? But he was a Jesuit, right? And he published this beautiful treatise, right? So you could expand a little bit on that, a little bit.
Actually, what I wanted to say right now is that I never heard of Lauxmin before coming here.
Yes.
And this is actually sad. And maybe that was also, of course, it was not only, it was Lauxmin, because Darius mentioned Lauxmin. I didn't know who Lauxmin was before. But in the same time, when the idea of the contest started to thrive, I had received a scholarship from the Lithuanian Ministry of Culture for the studying of some manuscripts which are related to Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. These manuscripts were Braunsberg, Krajay, and SOPP693. And because of that, I thought, okay, nobody outside Lithuania, or maybe nobody outside Lithuania and Poland knows about Lauxmin really. Some people, of course, do, but it's not that we learn about this guy in the music study. At least I never knew it. And also, okay, maybe people have heard about the Braunsberg manuscript, but it's not that Polish early music is a thing, or it should be. Maybe it will be more, but I don't know how much Polish music, for example, did I play during my studies? Nothing, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's what we wanted to we wanted to show the world, that there is more to this early music heritage, and this Polish-Lithuanian space is very important.
We could say that in general, when you go to early music school, you are taught some historical schools of keyboard composition, right? Be it organ or other keyboard instruments, and that's of course Italy, that's of course Germany, France, Spain with Portugal connected. What else?
And England also.
Dutch school, the Netherlands, and then what else they teach? Like big picture, right? And regional ones are kind of neglected because there are so many of them, and you have to pick 1, 2, 3, and it's hard to pick. And when you talk about Lithuanian Polish Commonwealth in the Renaissance period, early Baroque period, that was of course in the global European context fairly unresearched area, because of it still needs more attention even today, right? So I understand totally that you, for example, didn't hear about Lauxmin before, or that people from other countries didn't hear about him too.
Yes, indeed, there are some major schools and styles in the historical music that we are, of course, approaching all the time during the studies. Of course, as you mentioned, Italy above all, then Germany, mainly North German school, and Dutch school for organ. Absolutely. Also England, very important for harpsichord.
Oh yeah, I forgot about.
If I'm talking only about keyboard instruments right now, so. England too. France.
Fitzwilliam Virginal book. It's important too. Yeah.
Yes.
And Germany has several regions: northern, middle Germany, and southern Germany, and they are all different. Correct?
Yes, they are all different.
And Italy is different.
You have to choose during the study. You cannot do everything. And of course, you are right. Maybe that was. This was definitely not that much. Maybe it was researched, but not that much by musicologists and musicians outside Poland and Lithuania, let's say. There are, of course, also other regions which are not being highlighted like I don't know, for example, the Scandinavian space, not that.
Yes.
That's
Czech
yes.
Republic, of course, is
Yes.
important. Bohemian culture. Yeah. The same is with Romania. I'm sure if you go to archives, if there are archives still unresearched, you would find wonderful things about the Buchholz organ in what's the town with the black church?
It's Brasov. It's
Yeah, Brazov. Yeah.
Yes, there
Very
are
famous
also, there's a lot
instrument. Yeah.
to find out. Yes, well, there's a lot to research there as well. It is being researched little by little, but there are still archives which have not been well put that well in order, I think. I did go to an archive once, because I don't live in Romania anymore. I cannot be there all the time. I went once to one archive, and I could not find anything that I would be interested in. Everything I could find was too late for my area of interest. So 1800 but still very interesting handwritten books of music, things that they were doing when they were singing in the choir and stuff like that. But I think that people there are working, and they will find more things. Of course, there is this famous example of the Codex Caioni, this manuscript which is found in the wall of a monastery, and it is the only existing copy of it. This is something like wow, and that was rediscovered in the 80s. It's really quite not that long ago, actually. But there must be more.
Yeah, and of course with Romania, it's so interesting that this research is still continuing, and with other parts of the world which were maybe a little bit remote from the global music centers like Italy and France and some others, right, like Amsterdam and London. But if you say in the 1800s, this manuscript, right, it could still be early music considered, right, because this culture came later a bit, like in Lithuania too. We have Baroque organs from 19th century, early 19th century at least. So the same could be true in Romania, I would think.
Well, maybe, but Romania also had very all countries have a difficult history. Romania, as we know it, Romania now, it was not before. So Romania has been a country really since 1918.
Okay.
And there is a lot of Eastern influence there, of course. So whatever we could find which matches our area of interest is more probably in Transylvania to be found. So people are still keep looking for more things. It's I mean, there are some, but still I also have to say some of the things that I found were also already being researched by Polish musicologists. So in there is one book about the Polish dances, and there are many manuscripts listed, and some of them are Hungarian manuscripts and with some connections to the Transylvanian world. So yeah, there is a lot to research, but it's not that easy, I think. I mean, you find probably a lot of music and a lot of sources in belonging to a geographical space which was a bit more stable for a longer time, like a big kingdom.
Yeah.
Was despite all the wars still there, still happening, like France or
And those connections between the regions are still apparent, right? Like the king of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, he was Stephanus Batorus, right? How you pronounce it in
Yes,
Latin, for
yes,
example. And
yes.
he was from Hungary, right? And
Yes.
Therefore that influence also probably spread to the north somehow, right? With
Yes.
in one way or another. So basically, Lauxmin, Zygmunt Lauxmin, we say in Lithuanian Žygimantas Lauxminas, but it's the same person. He probably lived in the same period or era that Stephanus Batorus, correct?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the period where, when the Vilnius University was founded, Jesuit Collegium, right?
Yes.
College of Jesuits, and in 1579. And that's how musical education and in general science in Lithuania became taught professionally. And it's very, very interesting now that you actually reevaluating this name Lauxmin and putting into a modern context with your harpsichord competition.
Yes. Nicely put.
Yes. So let's talk about that for a moment. Of course, this is the only running harpsichord contest in the Baltic states, and that's already a phenomenon, already achievement, right? There is a gap of that harpsichord culture in Lithuania and perhaps in Latvia and Estonia, and we have organ basically contest, but no harpsichord contest. So, what's your experience with organizing such a contest internationally, so to say? Do you get a lot of support and
Well,
attention?
attention. Well, yes, actually. Many say that it's a great initiative and that it is important. I still notice that there is quite a lot of, I don't want to say fear. Let's call it respect or caution, because indeed this repertoire is still not being really studied by students now in music academies around the world, and maybe they are a bit afraid to touch it really. The thing is, of course, that's not what you asked, but now I'm just following my own line of
Yes.
thought. There were this year as well as last time when we first did this contest 2 years ago. Some of the participants, one could hear that they were very they were engaging with this repertoire with a lot of courage and with a lot of hope. But from many others, we could notice that they were still approaching this very, very cautiously. So, like, okay, I have a choice to play. I have a list of pieces. I have to choose one of them, and maybe some of them would choose the easier, the piece which looked like easier than others, just in order to not do anything wrong. So this is something that I'm thinking a lot about these days, and how to make people more confident about approaching this repertoire. I mean, it's not like it's not from the moon or it's not from another planet. It belongs to our world. It's of course it's very special, but it's not extremely different. I mean, it is different a little bit. There are some, I don't say it's a different style, but of course it does. Some of the pieces, of course, they have their own specific, let's say, Polish touch, or not all of them, of course, but I would like them to trust that this repertoire is very valuable, and that they should just dive in it a bit more, and not be so fearful. Because
of
I think
course,
they first of all play just for this concert. Probably they ever even thought about playing this. I mean, that's my impression.
so Alina, wonderful. Let's talk a little bit about required repertoire for this contest. Of course, I presume the newly published Braunsberg tablature is one of the major focus points, correct?
Well, I think if it is, it's just because of its practicability at the moment. Anyway, it is a gorgeous manuscript and a great source for great music. The manuscript has been published now in modern notation or since 1 year, I think, only.
Yes,
right?
2021. Yeah.
Yes, because we both have it in paper. I think you and me. Yes.
Yeah. We have on paper plus PDF. Mm-hmm.
Of course, the PDF we already have it since it appeared. So yes, we were a bit luckier here because Darius had already worked on it, and he already transcribed most of it himself.
Oh.
But it's great to have this edition now. Made by Martin Cellist, and everybody can access it. And that's, I think that's what I would recommend to the students, just to start from there.
Wonderful.
I
put the link to this edition in the description of this podcast conversation so that people could find relevant things that we talk about. So let's say Braunsberg tablature, for example.
Yes, right.
Wonderful. And what else people could choose from to perform for this contest? What other music? Do you have like common global early music sources like Fitzwilliam Virginal School or German or Italian or French music, or is it just for our region?
You're talking about, well, I don't know if I understood the question correctly, but if we are still talking about this Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth space, as a teacher, I'm trying to start with something which makes people no. Let's rephrase it. I like to start with something which is accessible and which is accessible and also satisfying from the first moment. Braunsberg is such an example. Another example, it's earlier stuff. It's the Lublin manuscript, of course, always the Lublin manuscript. Why not? It's very beautiful. It's very pretty. There are a lot of pieces that people just like to play, and because it's maybe easy to start with that, and to start with things that are already in modern notation, because anything else would mean that people have to start learning the organ tablatures and would have to put things together themselves or to ask someone who can do that for them, and that looks like a lot of work, and many have a lot of I don't know, respect for that, like, I mean, which they should, of course, but they might not feel that encouraged to engage with it if it's just somewhere in a library somewhere far away, or maybe accessible by internet, but it's still in organ tablature, which is not everybody can read it. It's of course it's also hard, and the manuscripts are different. Another source which I would now just on the spot recommend is the Ammerbach tablature, the German one, which is also published in modern edition, and it has a lot of Polish dances in it, and also from that to search for further German manuscripts from that time, which have Polish dances. You can, of course, you don't have to play only Polish dances, but the Polish dance is an important genre. We have to know about this. So and then you look for more and more and more. There are very many manuscripts, luckily, that are now starting to be accessible to everybody.
Wonderful. It's so nice that modern research has been done, and those old editions are being issued in a modern collections, or pieces of music from early music sources are being published for the first time, which were inaccessible before.
Yes, of course. Definitely. I mean, really, I'm not paid to do any advertising here, but we have to all the time check what's happening in Fontes Musicae in Polonia. We definitely have to check that out, because it's full of great stuff. It's full of great manuscripts and in excellent editions. And we have to be thankful to the Polish musicologists for doing this work for us, actually.
Yeah, and this Braunsberg tablature has been published by this series Fontes Musicae in Polonia, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So people, I guess, will go look for it, and we'll have a link provided to them. It's really useful collection to have, even for organists, not only for harpsichord players, because there are various dances, there are polychoral music that has been transferred to the keyboard, and you can tabulate it even further, with or without pedals, correct? For one
Yes.
for one player, or even duet, like we do with Osha. It's really amazing, and there are so many pieces. It's such a thick book that you could.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how many kilos does it weigh, but
I
it's
don't
really
know that
heavy.
either. But before, I mean, I remember before this manuscript was published, I mean, we were engaging a lot with the Braunsberg manuscript, Darius and I, and Darius said, "Oh, there is a week of music in there."
Yeah,
I think it's true.
true, correct. It's a treasure trove, and I'm so glad that Polish musicologists really made it accessible for us in a modern way.
Yes.
3 volumes, right? The second volume, I
3 volumes. Yes.
music.
Yes.
The first is
Mhm.
historical introduction with performance practice, and the third is what, um, appendices or something else. I don't
Mhm.
remember exactly, but it's in 3 volumes. So real connoisseurs should get all 3 of them.
Yeah, absolutely, you need all the 3 of them. And it's great. What's also great about this Fontes Musicae in Polonia is that you get PDFs for free. Like really, what else do you need? you know, like, I mean, really, everybody can access it. And well, I had moments of satisfactions when just random people, let's say random people on Facebook, some of them are studying music, some of them are just lovers of early music, some of them seniors or people who like to go to concert, and they ask me, "Oh, what is this? It's such a pretty piece on the teaser of this a contest. What is it? It is an Italian piece." And I'm thinking, really, are you kidding me? I mean, just how can it be an Italian piece if it's it's a contest about Lauxmin and about Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. It's a piece from Braunsberg, and it's originally a German piece. And what you hear in there is just a Braunsberg version of it, plus the diminutions that I made myself. And that's also great because you can, through Braunsberg, for example, you can find out other treasures. You are looking at the version of one piece which is in Braunsberg, and then you're going to look and see, oh, but the original version of this piece was actually somewhere else in Frankfurt, let's say, like it's the case with that piece from the teaser from Jakob Mailand. And there is more and more and more. So you can only you will find out things really exponentially. It's really great.
And of course, Braunsberg connects to the larger culture through intabulations by vocal composers, right? You get the original version from Italy or the Netherlands, and then you get this keyboard version tabulated in East Prussia, Braunsberg, which is wonderful to have comparison, and people who go further and look for other versions can play maybe 10 or 15 different versions of the same motet, right?
Yes, yes, it's very nice that you
Or chanson.
start looking for more. I mean, because also you want to do that after. Somehow that's the effect that Braunsberg and manuscripts like that have on people, I think. And why should we not experience that? I think we should.
Exactly. And you mentioned before a person, very important person who participated in the publication of this beautiful source, Marcin Szelest from Poland. Could you talk a little bit about him and his role in the competition too?
Well, Marcin Szelest is an incredible gain to the contest, to the organ world, to the musicology world. He is I really, I don't know. Well, I don't want to sound like a groupie, but like you were there actually.
Yeah,
when
I
he
was
had his recital.
in the recital that he gave on the big blue organ at the Franciscan Church, the first organ concert after series of inaugurations in the summer, correct? And he played it beautifully, the North German organ music. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So am I understanding correctly that he is part of the jury too?
Yes, he is part of the jury. He's very accurate about sources.
Yes.
He's not only part of the jury, but he was also the one who provided the music material for the compulsory pieces.
Yes.
Like in his in the modern notation, and one can be sure that it's done properly. And also he provided very interesting lectures on the theme of the music of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and because also Lauxmin is also an educational event somehow. So he's it's really great to have him, and I personally appreciate him very much as a colleague, as a musician, as a person. He's also very modest. In the first thing he said was that, but I'm an organist, and yeah, so very good that you're an organist. I'm not a harpsichord, but really, I mean, he can play harpsichord as well amazingly. So he's a very good judge of playing, a very, very kind also, but he's just very straight, and his insight is always very valuable to us.
Mm-hmm. Who else was on the jury beside Marcin?
Well, as this is a contest of the Baltic states,
yes,
and because we are because it is important to have partnerships with people who also teach, like in universities. We have from Lithuania Balis Vaitkus, we have from Latvia Maris Kupch, from Estonia we have Imbi Tarum, she's a professor for harpsichord there, and of course I did say, and of course we do say, it is the first and only so far contest for harpsichord in the Baltic states. But if you are now extending this term of Baltic states, of course Poland is very important, and in Poland there are harpsichord contests. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying, okay, it's the only one at all. No, in Poland of course they have, because they care about it. We have in the jury also, apart from Marcin Szelest from Krakow, we also have Liliana Stavards.
I understand, because Baltic states we usually mean Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia.
Yes, so like that, to that extent, of course, that's how we also put it. So it is the only contest there. yeah, this was the jury.
Wonderful.
And me, of course.
And you, of course, yes. And Alina, what did you learn from this year's contest? What will you get out of it for future?
Actually, the most beautiful conclusion, and it is a bit okay. Last year, I remember I thought this too, but this year it has been consolidated. This very thought that meanwhile, and it's really different to how it was 20 years ago when I was a student myself. You have so many good players, meanwhile, so many good young players, good, not only talented, but hardworking and really good young colleagues. And the great thing is that they don't all play this, they don't all have to play the same. They are all very different, but they're all good, and it's okay. You don't have to be a copy of someone else anymore. Because when I was a student, and also before that, I know that, of course, there were great players back then, but I didn't see that much diversity in that time. In diversity, I mean, in the terms of playing, of style, of I don't know, personality. And now you have that much more, and this is something that I think one has to cherish and has to support. This is. I mean, for example, the winners of this year, they are all such great musicians, but they are all so different. And it was really the same last time as well, and probably it will be the same in the future. You're not going to have the same school. Like, they are different, and it has to be like this. I think it's good. This is probably the big conclusion of this. And of course, again, what I personally learned from it is that I should continue to promote this repertoire, this heritage, to make it accessible, if I can, within my power, to concentrate on it in my work, because it's worth it. And everybody who hears this music for the first time, everybody says, "Oh, but this is such a beautiful thing, and why I didn't know about it."
Yes.
Oh, this is actually the mission.
Exactly. And you mentioned how level of students is so high in these days, and there is variety from each culture, right? Which probably is developing even more into the future. So I'm very happy that this contest has been drawing international attention, and I wish that in the future your work will continue and basically prosper in this field, and you will get, of course, many more wonderful opportunities to present music of this rather unknown period and area in the whole world, to the wider public as well.
Thank you, Vidas. Thank you so much.
So for the end of our conversation, let me ask, what's next for you after this concert? Of course, you have to probably recover your strength after Banchetto Musicale, which is still not finished. We're talking in the middle of those events. And after it's done, what are your plans for the future, Alina?
Well, there's still one more week left of concerts and events. I see the light at the end of the tunnel about that. After that, as far as I'm concerned, there will be more concerts outside Lithuania with totally different repertoire, and including an organ recital. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. And I am going to Bremen to my students, and I am planning actually to extend my own repertoire of Polish-Lithuanian repertoire music. Yes. This is what I'm planning, because I have the feeling I had just started with it, and yeah, so this is the musical plan. Of course, I would like to record again a CD and with this music. I mean, this is definitely on the list. So just talking about my own plans, my own musical plans at the moment, short-term plans.
You mentioned organ recital. What kind of organ will you play?
Well, that will be something of a challenge.
Wonderful. I really think that you will enjoy playing with a pipe organ in addition to harpsichord, correct?
Of course.
It doesn't always happen, it doesn't happen often enough for harpsichordists to play the organ, but if you get the chance, I think you should take it.
Oh yes, I mean, of course, I'll be happy to, and I will, of course, do my best. I do. Every time I enjoyed playing the organ, and when I was a student, now I remember I went together with my colleagues and with Professor Harald Vogel to Italy to play on really old organs, on min-tone organs, and that was really an amazing experience. And I even played on one of the organs in Bologna Cathedral. This is one of my main memories. Like I was amazed about that. I mean, of course, this is great. I just don't want to get too self-absorbed into that. So this is my own personal challenge, I think. But of course, I will very much enjoy doing that, and I'll do it as well as I can.
Wonderful. So give Aušra's and my regards to Darius as well. He's doing an amazing job with Banchetto Musicale in general for 32 years. And we both, let me talk for Aušra as well, we both wish both you and him much energy and good synergy working together to developing this into something for future generations, that it could continue not for one decade but for many decades to come.
Thank you, Vidas and Aušra. Much love from us too, to both of you, and looking forward to seeing you soon.
Amazing. Thank you. Wonderful conversation. Enjoyed it very much, knowing about you, your background, how you fell in love with the harpsichord, how you came to study into Western countries and then came to Lithuania, how you became interested into Polish-Lithuanian music, and of course this wonderful competition of harpsichord, Lauxmin competition. So much luck and happiness to you, and I hope we meet again.
If you liked this conversation, I encourage you to visit my blog Secrets of Organ Playing at organduo.lt, where you will find lots of insights, practical advice and training for every area of organ playing. You can subscribe to this blog for free to get your daily dose of inspiration and to be the first to know when any of my future podcasts roll out. I hope to help you reach your dreams in organ playing. I'm Vidas Pilkevičius. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you online really soon.